Good morning and welcome to the Morning Coffee Show. I'm Prince Hakeem.
I'm Amanda Love.
And today we have an exciting show for you all. Something that I've been researching over the last few weeks, and it's very interesting to me because I think it affects all of us, but majority of the ones, people that I know in my community, in my neighborhood. And this show is going to be called Supersize Me. So it's kind of a play off of the original show, but as you know, in America, we have tons of food options, and most of the time it is fast food and not always the best selection. We're going to talk about what that looks like and where they actually target more than others. So let's jump into it. So I want to talk about the Black and Hispanic communities. Now, we all know if you go into any neighborhood, you typically see a fast food restaurant, a chicken spot, a Chinese restaurant, pizza, anything greasy, fast, ready to go. It's typically in these neighborhoods. And it struck me because I live in a different type of neighborhood than I originally grew up in. And right across the street from my house, there's a Whole Foods market. And then there's multiple other options for like food. Like you can call it fast food, but it's not really fast food. There's a healthier choices. They even have a salad place you can walk into and make your own salad. You can make your own pizza, and you can put any healthy choice you want on there versus.
And on the contrary, I live in a predominantly Black neighborhood, and I could probably walk to Wendy's, Sonic, McDonald's, a Chinese place, a chicken place. They're probably all within, I would say, if I wanted to get up and walk there, it'd probably be maybe a 10-minute walk to all of those places.
Interesting.
But predominantly Black neighborhood, black schools, definitely a more ethnic Black Hispanic community than the area you're in. So.
And then it raised a question for me, like, why is that? So I'm in walking distance on all the things I said, right? And what really struck me last week, I said, I'm hungry, didn't have time to cook dinner, I don't want to go get your typical pizza and stuff like that. So we looked up a restaurant in the area, and it's a Chinese restaurant, but it had vegan and vegetarian options. Instead of like chicken, they had the tofu and all that stuff.
Yeah, the Chinese restaurant at my house is like, the one with the same menu it's had for like the past 30 years.
Because it's faded.
The one with the pictures?
Yes. It's faded because it's been there for 30 years.
General Tso's chicken.
Yeah.
And beef and broccoli.
Yeah. Lo mein.
Fried chicken wings.
Listen, it's not. The fried chicken wings is weird. So that's a whole nother conversation.
It's so random. Fried chicken wings and French fries.
It's really random. It don't taste like regular chicken, but
because they fry it in the same anyway. Yeah. The egg rolls. Chicken.
My egg roll and my chicken taste exactly the same. But to that point is that you look at the menu options and you're like, well, this is what I'm faced, this is what I'm used to, this is what I'm going to get. So you don't really think about a healthier choice. And so I went and researched a little bit deeper. I'm like, well, it has to be a reason, right? The neighborhoods I grew up in, and I was, I was frequent when I was younger. They had the chicken spot, the liquor store, they had
and you grew up locally here,
locally here. But like my family's from certain areas that we go visit for like the holidays and during the summer, and these are the spots that we see, and the options wasn't anything fresh.
And that's it. And so I grew up in New York in an urban community, and one of the articles that I read referenced cities having like local corner stores, bodegas, whatever, and even those, the options were very similar. They were something that contained like high fat, high sugars, preservatives. The corner store was predominantly like candy, and in some, now I've noticed over time they have like sandwiches and things like that. But back then it was predominantly like candy, quick stuff. Candy bars, soda, chips, whatever, a liquor store. And those things were very convenient. They were, within walking distance. You passed them on every corner. They were readily available. And like you said, quick fixes to whatever. And cheap.
That was the key word.
And if you consider the correlation to an urban community, most people in that urban community are impoverished. They're living below the poverty line. They don't make a whole lot of money. Anything that's within walking distance is going to be the most convenient because most people don't have a vehicle, or they don't have reliable transportation, or they're using public transportation. So what's the easiest option? Is passing a corner store or passing a fast food place. You stop, you get something for $1, and you keep it moving. And it's enough to fill you up.
And it's enough to feed your family. When they opened up the dollar menu on McDonald's, that took care of a lot of families. And you know, that's sad to say, but it's true. And they know that. So that goes back into more research I looked at. It's targeted marketing. They know that if I put these particular restaurants and places in these neighborhoods, these people don't have the money to buy these other things. And to Amanda's point, when I posed this topic to her, she says, you don't think that the people in the neighborhood know any better? Because when you do introduce like fresh markets and things like that, it don't do well in the neighborhoods. Because
financially, half of them can't afford it.
Can't afford it.
And it's not created to be affordable.
Right.
And so they're not running over there to get a salad versus coming over here to get the dollar menu.
Yeah.
Why? Because if I go over here and get a salad and it costs me $5, $6 just for me, I could go over here and use the dollar menu and feed my whole family.
Yeah, for that one salad.
So why not use that?
And I always thought that was amazing. How is it that if you go to McDonald's, check this out, go to McDonald's and say, instead of a soda, give me a water. The water is $2.99 or $1.99. The soda's $1 any size. So if you're not picking up on the target marketing with these restaurant chains, you're missing out. And the majority of these chains are in the neighborhoods. Now, to some more research that we just looked at as well, and then I looked at as well, the government itself is in on it. Sorry to tell y'all, but you know, you think your government loves you? Maybe. But they actually have grants and loans for businesses to go into these urban neighborhoods and create these restaurants or fast food chains, because they understand that these neighborhoods don't have other options. This is going to cause other issues like health issues. So I contribute everything to food. Is what you put in your body controls everything. Is your mental health, is your physical health, is your financial health. Everything that you put in your body consumes that part of it. So they know, if I feed these group of people these type of foods with these chemicals, these high in sugar, cholesterol, they're gonna have high blood pressure, they're gonna, you know, all these other issues that they have to go to the doctor for. It's a big chain. Now you have medications. All these things play into itself.
And and you know, people listen to certain like shows like this or whatever, and they go, who is they? Who is they? We're talking about the government.
Yeah. I said the government.
Yes. We're talking about the government, and it's a strategic plan to keep things just as they are. So if there's a plan to keep a certain community or a certain population of people in a certain place, living a certain way, I have to create it, so they have to work just as hard to make up for the margin of difference. So
Absolutely.
If I want this community to be obese, I'm strategically slowing them down, making them less smart, making them less motivated, making them less determined, because I'm slowing down everything, right? If I make you unhealthy, you're unhealthy in every possible way, exactly like you said. So your physical health, your mental health, and that is your whole family. So what happens? If your physical and mental health and well-being is down the tube, how do you function as a family?
Yeah.
Well, naturally, there's more arguing, there's more fighting, there's more... People don't realize how one small thing contributes to like the big picture. I could spend $1 right now on the dollar menu for the next 10 years, and yeah, my belly will be full, but my body will be unhealthy. So what I'm not paying here on the front end, I'll be paying in medical bills later, or I'll just die.
It's that simple.
So if I'm relying on the fact that I stay unhealthy because that's what I'm afforded as availability, then I'll just stay unhealthy and I'll die at 50 instead of 70 or 80.
Yeah.
And if that is the plan, then I just did exactly what they wanted.
And the thing is that we just don't know. That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, it's education. It's definitely education.
Just don't. We don't know any better. This is all we know. And if you look at it, it's actually warfare. It's legitimately waging war against these communities. They know exactly what they're doing. Now, if you really think about it, the type of foods that we are putting in our bodies transforms us. And even with these young ladies now, it was a joke. We were joking around, but it's serious. It's a lot of hormones and chemicals in these foods that are causing these young ladies and these young men to look way older than what they are.
How many times have you looked at a little girl and said, little girls don't look like they used to when I was a kid?
Nah, not the same.
They have body parts they didn't have.
Yeah.
You know, I remember being like made fun of when I was a kid because I didn't have anything yet, and I was like 12, 13.
Yeah.
And then now you have kids, you know, sometimes I go into somebody's house or I see somebody and I'm like, how old are you? And they're like, oh, 10.
Yeah.
And they look like me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are they eating? But when we were kids, you know, our parents like lived off of milk and cereal.
Yeah.
Then when I think about like drinking milk, then it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But then when you think about it now, it's like you get a gallon of milk, that joint will last you a whole month and a half. Like back then it was like you better get that gallon of milk and drink it within the week because it'll go bad.
Yeah.
But all the preservatives and things that are used to put these things together now have so much chemical in them that they're purposely made to sustain for a longer amount of time.
Well, and the thing is with that, so when we talk about milk, it's a really big misconception on what milk really does and what it really is. We do not need cow's milk. So they say milk, right? Most Hispanics and African Americans are lactose intolerant. We cannot tolerate lactate, right? Mm-hmm. So they tell you need milk for what?
Grow, but you
for what? It's calcium.
Makes your
calcium makes your bones strong. That is, there's no study out there that tells you that.
But you remember when we were kids?
Yep.
So and then part of the article that I'm thinking about it now. Like part of the article I was reading earlier talked about that article that you have.
Yeah.
Talked about advertising starting in the 1970s, right? And it says clearly, this is in 1971, it says McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's dedicated at least 1/5 of their radio and television advertising budget to African American audiences specifically. When they were advertising, the marketing, the whole thing in their marketing community was to target African American communities. So what does that say? They know that that is a big portion of the people that purchase from them.
Mm-hmm. When we were growing up, to your point, you remember that pyramid that they had?
Yes.
And they had the food groups pyramid. And stuff that you should eat. Milk was on there. Mm-hmm. Right? Milk causes mucus. Mucus causes infection and disease. Mm-hmm. But this is a chart that came out from the FDA. They had meats on there, fish, which was, I think is fine. They had vegetables on there. But there's things on that chart that they should definitely take off. I haven't looked at the most recent one. I don't know all this stuff is still on there. But what we're saying is this is what we grew up on. This is all we knew. Mm-hmm. And we pass that down to our children. And I think it's the craziest thing. So real quick, funny story. I just recently stopped eating meat. I decided to completely just go away from meat. I eat fish and shrimp and stuff, but other than that, I don't eat meat, period. It's just a personal choice of mine. But I went to some cookouts over the summer, and they looked at me like, as if I was crazy. They're like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I just, I don't eat that. I'll eat everything else, but I just don't eat that. Mm-hmm. And they had a whole pig that was roasting out there, right? And, in the past, I would have ate it. That looks pretty tasty. They, chopped it up.
I don't have nothing against pig. I just, I'm a bacon lover.
Right. You just can't see what.
I said I'm a bacon lover.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. No pork, no pulled pork? No? Pork? No?
I can tolerate it, but it's not gonna be often.
Pork chops?
No. I don't even remember the last time I had a pork chop.
Well, I mean, they had everything. They had everything, chicken, everything.
But that's chicken I don't know so much, but pork, red meat is like, it feels heavy.
Yeah, it is. It definitely transforms you as soon as you eat it. But one of my cousins, and I hope he's watching, he said something to me that was very interesting. He said, I said, I just don't eat it, man. It makes me feel bad when I do. I won't eat it. He said, come on, man, you're gonna die from something. And you might as well just keep eating it, you get used to it. And that made me stop to think, I'm like, that's what most of us do. We just keep eating poison until we get used to it. Because you can get used to anything if you do it enough. And that's what we do, and especially in our communities. No one's educating us and saying, hey.
So let's go the other way.
Okay.
Not to interrupt you.
No, yeah.
I love that story because I'll go the other side so I try to incorporate like salad, vegetables, fruits, or whatever. And I love my Vitamix. I have a Vitamix at home, and I will just take fruits, vegetables, whatever, throw it in there, and some coconut water, and I'll mix it all up and have a juice, right? I don't do it all the time. I don't do it every day, but I do it occasionally. And I have a family member that would come over occasionally, and if we were having salad or a juice or whatever, they would say, nah, I can't eat with you. I'm like, why? Every time I eat over here, I go home with diarrhea. And I'm like, what? Why?
Wow.
And they're like, cause you be eating all this stuff, and my stomach get tore up every time I come here. And I'm thinking, it's the exact opposite. It's that they don't typically eat fruits, vegetables, healthy type food. So when they do come over, they get an upset stomach. And I thought it was so funny because I thought about it the same way you thought about that. And I said, that is so crazy because your body is so adjusted to eating garbage that when you do eat something healthy, your body is like in shock. So you naturally go, I don't want to do that because I don't feel good because my stomach is upset.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That is probably what happens to a lot of people that live in urban communities and don't typically eat healthy. Because if you don't typically eat healthy and then one day you decide, you know what, today is going to be the day that I'm going to change my life. I'm going over here to get this salad. I'm going over here and have vegetables. Because guess what? You don't eat salads, you don't eat vegetables, and then one day you decide to eat them, I promise you, you'll have diarrhea.
You will. Because your body, what's happening, your body is going through withdrawals. And because a lot of these chemicals and things that's in the food.
The number one drug in the US, sugar. Sugar.
Not cocaine.
No, sugar. White sugar.
It's white, but it's not cocaine.
Yes. Sugar is the number one drug in the United States. People think I shouldn't eat fat. If something says low fat, I'm gonna go for that because that's the good one. No, it's sugar.
It is.
It is sugar. If you do not have sugar, you will go through withdrawals like an addict.
So funny story. This week I stopped sugar for like the week. This is the first piece of sugar I had in 6 days or so.
How'd it go?
It's like withdrawals. I felt better after the first couple days, but the first 2-3 days I was like, I'm really searching Pookie out here. Who got
a candy bar?
Let me get a piece of that.
I just want
let me just smell it. And it's crazy, but it is bad.
And you don't realize it until you really take a look at what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're eating, what you're putting in your body, and you go, why is this affecting me this way? Even little things that we're conditioned to believe are we drink coffee. And for those of you who do drink coffee, you don't drink coffee one day, it is going to be a problem.
Yes.
So I used to carry around the little caffeine shots because if I forgot to have coffee that day or I didn't get to have coffee that day, I would get a banging headache. But then I realized after a while, if I was drinking coffee every day, had the caffeine shots, it would simmer down the headache a little bit. but it didn't go away. Why? Because it wasn't coffee with sugar, creamer, what I was used to having, and I hadn't had coffee.
Yeah.
And you know, when you think about what the norm is for our communities, those are normal things. Things like coffee, tea. When you have tea, what do? People put milk in their tea. People put sugar in their tea. People put all kinds of stuff in their tea to create the balance of having those things that are, they're artificial preservatives. Juice has juice from concentrate, juice from not from concentrate. Like, people don't even know what the difference between those things are.
Yeah.
So they think like, oh, if I'm drinking a fruit juice,
it's fruit.
It's fruit. Not quite.
It's
not
fruit,
at all.
It's fruit flavored.
Yeah. And when I learned too, also, when I was pregnant, and this was, we're raised to believe fruits are amazing. And you could eat as much fruit as you want. No, that's not right.
So I sugar in it.
I went to the doctor when I was pregnant one time and did all my tests. The doctor came back and told me sugar intake is too high. So when I was pregnant, I was really conscious about how I was eating because I wanted to have a healthy baby. And I was thinking that by eating fruits and vegetables, so that was like my snack. I would carry around different things like cucumbers and strawberries and apples and whatever, just so I could have something because I was hungry all the time. And here I was thinking I was doing the right thing. And he said, yeah, it's nice that you're, you know, eating constantly and eating things that are like lower in fat. So you're not, he was like, but you gotta slow down on the fruit.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, all the education that I have, or the education that's just put out there, those little food pyramids, things that's being put out there, like priming people thinking that they're getting education and that they know something. Half the information sometimes that we get is not even...
It's completely wrong.
Yeah, it's not even good information.
And to your point about information, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background. Now, when it comes to fast food, don't think fast food is always what you see. It hasn't always been this particular way. Fast food was actually originally geared for white travelers. So a businessman that would travel around the country for work, they have a place they can duck in and get something to eat real quick versus they don't have a place to go.
And don't think that all fast food is made the same way just because it's McDonald's here and McDonald's in Europe.
Absolutely.
Because that's not true.
It's completely different.
Because McDonald's, I noticed that over there, so I was in, what country was I in? Dubai. And I was like, wow, they got McDonald's in Dubai and that hamburger looks amazing.
It looks like the picture.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like dripping, the lettuce is all crispy and green. And I was like, wow, why does their hamburger look like that? So I go into McDonald's and I'm looking at the people in the back and they are for real taking beef and they're like making a patty, seasoning the patty, like putting it on the grill. So they are using like real meat when they're making their food there.
Not the frozen ones that come on the truck.
Not at all. So in other countries, just because it says McDonald's or Wendy's, we are talking specifically about what we have here stateside.
Other countries don't allow the stuff that we allow in our foods. We allow certain like pesticides in our food, certain amount of feces in our food, hormones in our food, penicillins in some of the meat. So you got.
They're literally like going over crops and like spraying chemicals over the whole crops and saying that it's just because they don't want bugs or they don't want whatever on your food. I had a little chart the other day, and while you're looking at that and referencing that, I'll probably look at it because there was a chart that I saw that I saved that was specific to like fruits and vegetables, and it gave you like fruits and vegetables that you could buy or that you should only buy organic because of the way organic products have to be processed, and then fruits and vegetables that it says like it doesn't matter buying organic or not because basically the organic products and the regular produce products are pretty much exactly the same because the processing is the same.
Yeah.
So I was like, isn't that interesting? Because some people who buy organic, they buy everything organic because they believe that that's different. And then people who buy regular food, they usually go, well, I don't buy organic because it's the same stuff anyway.
Right.
Or they don't really know the difference, so they don't know to do one or the other. So I thought it was interesting that somebody would say, like, these things you should 100% of the time buy organic.
Yeah.
These things doesn't really matter. And I was like, wow, isn't this like good information, like just for somebody to have so they know if they don't want to, you know, have to spend a whole lot of money, or they would like to have a healthier option. Isn't this something nice that's simple and just say like, hey, if you do buy these products, like why does somebody have to search for this information? Why can it be something that's just out there or something that's taught in school?
Yeah. They won't, because it's not profitable. That's what it really comes down to.
Money.
Not everyone. So I looked at a study and they said that it's actually, I wish I had the actual document, but it's government documentation, that you gotta think alcohol, drugs, guns, all those things is implemented in these particular neighborhoods. And the goal was to population control. So, you know, you create alcoholics, you create drug addicts, but not everyone drinks and not everyone does drugs, but everyone eats. So you have to attack the food source. Back in the 1960s, 1970s, you know, even a little further back, we did not eat fast food. We couldn't. It wasn't even available to us. We were the most healthiest of all Americans. That's even our white counterparts, because we cooked at home. All the meals we ate, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all was at home. So it was more of a healthier choice. Even if we were frying chicken or whatever, it was a healthier choice because it didn't have all the additives and stuff that's in it now. But after that, in the wake of 1968 riots, Nixon actually implemented and gave out federal funding to fast food franchises to open up in black communities. So they understood, like I said, not everyone drinks, not everyone does drugs, not everyone eats.
But if you don't want to do those things, I'll find another way.
You're gonna have to eat. And you know, the craziest thing, I can't remember who said it, was a comedian that said that if you shut down, it was Cedric the Entertainer, he said if you shut down every Popeyes, you shut down every Popeyes, they will go completely nuts. They'll say they can't feed their families. And it's a real thing. I don't know if y'all noticed when that chicken sandwich came out.
I don't want to talk about that.
How people just went banana crazy. They knew people was going to do that, right? So imagine what's in the sandwich.
Can we please talk about this for like 2 seconds? The stupid sandwich. I haven't even had the sandwich.
Obviously, I haven't eaten it.
I haven't had the sandwich. I don't know what it tastes like. I don't know if it was amazing or not. Okay, I have no clue. Anyway, but you remember we were talking about the sandwich like the week after it came out, and we talked about how there was an article. We referenced the article on how much money was spent. So do you remember the
free advertisement?
Do you remember how much money was spent in that one? What state was it? I don't know. Anyway, it was urban community. That one community had spent over Popeyes made $40 million in a week. It was like a weekend, I think. I think it was a matter of days.
They were sold out.
No more chicken.
No more chicken.
I was like...
And people were getting upset.
I was so angry. Because all I could think of was, we spend so much time in urban communities going, we are not getting this, whatever it is. We're not getting funding for our schools. We're not getting funding for our children, community centers, food banks, whatever it is, homeless, I don't know, whatever, social services, different government funding to be put back into the community. All these lobbying activists, and then you get Popeyes with this new sandwich. All of a sudden, the whole community has $40 million.
Yeah.
If you can spend $40 million on a sandwich.
On a sandwich.
Somebody needs to go buy some computers.
Somebody needs to open up their own businesses.
Like, there should be a Whole Foods. If we got $40 million, we could open our own Whole Foods.
But you know, most people have that mentality as my cousin. I don't want that. I want the other stuff. Why? It's fast. It tastes good.
It's yummy.
It's yummy. It tastes good. And I think that we've been tricked. What we think that tastes good is actually bad for us.
And we're conditioned. Anything tastes good. If you get a vegan, obviously what they eat every day, I'm not accustomed to eating. So they're gonna eat that and they're gonna go,
that's the best thing ever.
Oh my God, it tastes delicious. It's so amazing. Fresh, crunchy, whatever. And you're gonna be like, ew, I don't eat that every day, it's nasty.
Yeah.
Of course it's gonna be nasty. Guess what? That same chicken sandwich that you are like, this is delicious, this is amazing.
Yeah.
They're like, that's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
It's dripping with grease.
It's an animal.
Like,
it's an animal.
It is literally what you are conditioned to accept as what your norm is. I remember when I first got into graduate school and we were talking about how people process thought, right? And food preferences, because there are so many kids that, you know, right away they'll see something. For me, when I was little, it was broccoli. Broccoli was trees. You know, because of the way it looks. It got a little bush on top. Right. It looks like a tree. So I was like, oh, I don't want to eat a tree. That's gross. Yeah. I don't want that.
Yeah.
And there are so many kids now that look at stuff and they're like, oh, that looks disgusting. But why do you think it looks disgusting? Like, you don't have a basis for any type of opinion at all. So that's us, right? That's the people they have around them, the families they live with. And I've struggled with a lot of my friends and references because I try to never ever give my opinion around my daughter. Like, if I give her something to try, even if I hate it, I'm like, try this. And I keep this like, it's all right. Like, yeah. Because I want her to try it with like no bias. Yeah. So if she really likes it, she likes it. Yeah. And she happened to go to school and she had this Asian kid in her class. I don't know if we ever, the seaweed thing. Yes. She had this Asian kid in her class that always sat next to her and he brought seaweed every single day for lunch as a snack. Like, that was his dessert. Zoe came home. Homegirl loves seaweed. Yeah. So I had to start buying seaweed, and that she would literally come into the kitchen and be like, Mommy, can I have some seaweed? And I was like, sure. I tried it a couple times. Not my favorite thing in the whole world. But I guess she told me that he had shared with her a few times, and because she saw him eating it and he was enjoying it, she tried it, she loved it. And I was like, it's so funny because after being in school and thinking about this project we did, the project said, after we did this study, it came out that kids had to try something, I think 6 times before they really decided whether or not they liked it. So they would try it the first time, be like, I don't really like it. The next time they love it, the third time they hate it. Like, it would go back and forth. And then after the 6th time, it kind of stabilized, and they decided like, I either like that or I hate it. Yeah. And I was like, it is crazy because 6 times is a lot of times to eat something to decide whether or not your palate like appreciates that taste. Yeah. So think about what does that do for us? Well, if I have Hardee's on the corner of my house and it's, like I said, how I have like Sonic, Wendy's, whatever, I am definitely more likely to eat those things because they're readily available to me.
And I'm conditioned to it.
So if there's a study that says I have to eat something a certain amount of time to decide whether or not I like it, and the more I eat it, the easier it's going to be for me to tolerate it. Right. It's readily accessible. Yeah. It's convenient. I'm definitely going to eat that more often than I am a salad. Yeah. Or a smoothie or whatever. So I'm going to walk to Wendy's and get Wendy's. And I'm going to learn to appreciate having Wendy's right there. And that's going to be my regular go-to. And eventually it will be like, Wendy's. Wendy's, yeah. Amazing. Yeah. And the salad.
The new Wendy's sandwich.
And the salad is going to be less and less and less appealing. Yes. And if I do that strategically in certain communities,
It's what becomes the norm, and it's like I said, it's intentional. It's the
and
actual
slowly I built
marketing.
obesity in that community, mental health in that community, physical health issues in that community, medical issues in that community.
But you know the biggest point with that leads into the one thing I want to make sure we talk about before we get off here. If you think about back in the civil rights era, we marched a lot. We activated a lot. Mm-hmm. Now we don't, because we were more fit back then. They knew if we slow them down by feeding them this food, then they can't fight back. They don't even have the mental capacity, the energy, the physical capacity to do it. I was listening to Killer Mike, and he said, this guy ran into him, was like, yo man, they popping off, man, we gotta go do something. And he looked at the guy, because the guy was overweight. He's like, what are you gonna do? You can't even fight anybody, because you can barely even walk. So imagine if we had to protect ourselves, or fight back, or stand up for ourselves, we can barely stand for 10 minutes, right? So when I say it's legitimately raging war on these communities, we have to pay close attention to what's happening to our people, because you got illnesses, you got obesity, you got mental illness, you got financial binds, because they make you content with making that much money because you can still eat. Mm-hmm. If I say your annually income is only $25,000, but you have a place to stay and you have a way to eat, transportation is only the bus and maybe Uber now, maybe. But see, it's feasible. You can make it work. And if you say, I can make it work, I don't need to do anything more than this, I won't go for more than this.
And I'll stay right there.
And I'll stay right here. How many times have you heard somebody say, I would never leave the hood?
Absolutely.
Why? Because it's easy.
And it's convenient. It's what I've learned. It's what I know.
I know every corner. I know every restaurant. I know every person that's in here. I know. So you won't move.
And then you look at how they build urban communities now too. Because I thought about that too as we were talking about the food thing. I was like, they create a community that even here, because in New York, I remember we had to walk everywhere. Mm-hmm. So people are naturally more fit. I remember I was talking to my sister, and she was like, I want to get in better shape. But she literally uses public transportation. She walks to and from work sometimes, or rides a bike. And that's the norm where she lives, because they live in neighborhoods, they have sidewalks, they have bike trails. And, I was like, wow, here, when you have either affordable housing projects, whatever, or even urban communities, they build apartments so close together. And what is it? It's an apartment, parking lot. Mm-hmm. Who's going outside to play? Nobody. There's no place to go play. Yeah. There's streets, houses. There's no large area of places to play. Because I was thinking, I was comparing. Yeah. And in New York, there were these huge parks. Mm-hmm. There's not, and for those of you who are saying New York, ew, mm-hmm. But there were these huge parks with I remember rubber flooring, slides, the swings, and they were large areas of parks. So this way, if you went to the park, which was usually in the center of your neighborhood, it was something you did, and the kids are running back and forth, or there's a baseball field, but there were designated areas for kids to be outside and have physical activity and play and do things. Mm. And then I compared it to here, and I'm like, they really don't have that here. Even the parks here are literally slide, a couple tubes, and parks over. So they're not designed in a way for people to have events outside, or just be outside, or just enjoy physical activity, and have the availability to do those things. Right. So when you take the combination of food, what's available, what's convenient, the way our communities are designed, the way things are purposely, strategically set up, it is designed for us to be comfortable, to identify this as what's convenient, what's affordable, and basically the only stuff I'll ever need. So I'm gonna just stay right here. And it's also strategically done for us to fail.
That's it. And when it comes down to it, food is the center of everything. We seek food for comfort, we seek food for nourishment, but most of the time we just eat because we feel like that's what we should be doing at the time. We can talk about this all day long, but
I was like, I got a feeling this is not the end of this.
It can't be. I want to bring somebody in that can elaborate a little bit more on the topics that we talked about today, because it goes so deep. I've been watching a few documentaries on, was it Hulu and Netflix, and I'll get all those links and put it at the bottom. But this conversation has to continue happening. Our communities are suffering, and it will continue suffering if we don't do something about it. Eat to live, don't live to eat. That's my biggest, motto I use. You gotta think, I get hungry, but what I'm hungry for, our body tells us what we're lacking. And when you're lacking something, you're gonna start craving certain things for a reason. Try to choose the most healthier option. Introduce your kids to more healthier options at the younger age, because if they start to understand that and develop those habits early on, they'll carry it through the rest of their life.
And they won't know the difference.
And they won't know the difference. And then they pass it along, just like the young guy that was in your daughter's class. He passed something along to her that was passed along to him. And so we continue doing that, you'll see a different community. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. This is not the last of it. I'm pretty sure, because it goes deep. We got some research, and it goes way deeper than that, but we gotta wrap it up. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure y'all go ahead and like and share. Go ahead and click the button down below. Hit that little bell button so you get notifications. Follow us on social media at Morning Coffee on Facebook and Morning Coffee on Instagram. And you can follow me on Instagram at P. Hakeem and
Unmatched, unapologetic. Get it on here.
right below. Once again, thank y'all again. Peace.